Hey everybody, just kind of wanted to give you an overview and a welcome to this online version of RMI 270. So this is Principles of Risk Management and Insurance. And it's tempting for a lot of people to jump immediately to the insurance part, to say that, oh, if you're facing a risk, then what you should do is insure against it. What we're going to find out is that the most exciting parts of risk management don't really involve insurance. Because there isn't anything you can do to insure against certain types of risks. So what I usually say is risk management is a strategy, insurance is a tactic. Sometimes that's the best way to handle risk. But again, the exciting parts of risk management usually mean that you don't have an insurance policy and you have to come up with some other strategy. And we'll talk more about the different techniques that we have for managing risk besides insurance. So that's the first thing I'd want to say is risk management is a lot broader. Insurance is one way we can manage risks, but you don't always have that as an option. So we're going to get a chance to go through that. I love teaching this class because from the title, I think people are expecting that this class is not going to be exciting. It's going to be boring. And if you think insurance is boring and risk management is boring, that just means you haven't been exposed to enough of that material. That's probably the case anytime somebody writes something off as it's boring, right? Somebody says, oh, art design, I don't want to go to an art museum, that's boring. Yeah, that's because you don't know anything about art. It probably would be boring. Once you start to know a little bit more, you start to see, actually, no, this is kind of interesting. So as we're going through, you should be thinking about this. Is this a career you'd be interested in? Because the neat thing about how we've designed our major is that if you take this course and 4 other insurance courses, you can double major in the Miller College of Business. So if your other major is already Miller College of Business and you're taking this class, you're 4 classes away from a double major. Now, yeah, if as we're going through, you say, I don't find this interesting at all, well, then I wouldn't do it. But what if you do? So just keep that in the back of your mind. Have an open mind and see where it goes. We'll go from there. All right, some more prosaic stuff specific to this course that I want you to know. I guess the easiest way to do this is probably to go over the syllabus. So you go onto Canvas. It should look like this. It says view this first. This is the welcome video. That's what you clicked on. Now we're going to look just at the syllabus, and we'll go over that real quick. So let me go ahead, download that, and I'll just talk about some of the stuff, the rules that govern the course. Okay, so here we are. RMI 270, Principles of Risk Management and Insurance, Spring 2021. I'm Kevin Gatzliff. My office is in the Miller College of Business. It's on the 3rd floor. I'm probably not going to be there very much this semester. So if you need to get a hold of me, please email me. I'm pretty good at responding. If we go 24 hours and you haven't got a response, that means I missed it. Send it again. I'm not going to be mad. I get, just like you, I get tons of emails a day. It's really easy to miss important ones. I don't like that. If a student wants to get a hold of me, I need to respond, and I need to do that within a reasonable period of time. If I go 24 hours, you haven't heard from me, send it again. It means I missed it, and don't feel bad about it. We'll get that. I have a phone number, and if you leave a message, I'll get an email that says, hey, you got a message on your phone. That's okay. It's just quicker and easier probably to get me if you email me. So the address is there. Office hours, we're just going to do that by appointment. I have plenty of flexibility. If you got something you want to talk to me about, we'll figure it out. We can, if we can't handle it over email, we'll have a phone call. And if you want that to be a Zoom call so you can have video, we can do that. I imagine that'll be fairly easy to set up. It's never been a problem before. You can read the course description. We do have a required textbook. My suggestion is you'll do better in the course if you have access to a textbook. One way to get access to the textbook is to rent it from the bookstore. I think it was about $60. So that's not terribly overwhelming. The hardcover book is about $250. I wouldn't do it that way if it were me. But that's obviously an option, your call. You can read through the course objectives. You have to publish an attendance policy in an online class. That takes the form of online lectures. You're not going to do well in the class if you don't view the lectures. You're going to get to the exams and you're not even going to understand the questions that I'm asking. That's going to be frustrating. So right now, make a commitment. If you're going to stay in the class, that means you're going to watch the video lectures. Most of the time, they're going to be between 4 and 6 lectures per week. I try to keep them to about 20 minutes to make it a little bit easier to break up. If you want to go straight through and watch them all, sure, you can. But I think people appreciate it when I break it up a little bit. So imagine just like a regular class, you'd have 150 minutes of lecture a week. We're not going to go over that. And in most weeks, we're going to be substantially under that. So that's just something you can expect. That's the attendance policy. You need to watch those video lectures. Because if you don't, then when you get to the exam, you're just not going to understand. And it'll be immediately clear to both of us that you have no idea what I'm asking. On the other hand, when you watch it, it's really obvious what I'm asking because we talked about it. So I want you to go ahead and take notes as you're watching the lecture. I've got a review sheet that's posted. And I've got the slides that are posted, so you can print those out and have them in front of you as you're watching the lecture. Take notes as you're doing it. That'll minimize the amount of time it takes to prepare for the exam. That's my suggestion. So yeah, the stuff I talk about, that's going to be on the exam. And then, yeah, there'll be stuff that gets better discussed in the textbook, but there won't be anything that we don't discuss in the lectures that shows up on the exam. So I'm not trying to trick you by saying, haha, this was discussed on page 273 of the textbook and we never talked about it in the video lectures. I limit myself to the video lecture content. That's what's going to be on the exam. We're going to do exams a couple different ways, but there's always going to be a short answer element, and that'll probably be the bulk of it. That seems to work better. When I'm in class with people, it's all multiple choice. And while that makes for easy grading and quick grading, folks who don't do so well on multiple choice tests generally struggle with this class. So one of the neat things about online format is now that I have a little bit more time, I can open that up a bit, use open-ended questions, and allow people to answer in a way that allows them to earn partial credit. And that generally leads to better grades. So I don't feel bad about that at all. If there is extra credit, everybody will have the same shot at it. We can't do individual extra credit. That's not fair. We'll have assignments, we'll have activities. Here's how it breaks down. We're going to have 100 points from assignments and activities, and we're going to have 400 points for exams. So 500 total possible points. So sometimes I do article quizzes. I'll have you read an article, and then I'll ask you questions on an online quiz. And that's a real easy way to do that. We have 2 big assignments. We have the auto quote assignment. We have the life quote assignment. I just think it's really helpful. And now that we can do this online, it's really easy. Go out and get a quote and then change some of the parameters of the policy. What does it cost to go from a $50,000 liability policy in auto to a $500,000 liability policy in auto? So you're increasing the coverage by 10 times. Does that increase your premium by a factor of 10? Well, you can investigate that and you can find that out. I think you're going to be surprised. Life quote, same thing. It's not that I want you to buy life insurance right now. If you don't have dependents, that's probably not a good choice. If you do have dependents, people who rely on your income, you have to consider, what if your income stops? And the most obvious way that your income stops is, well, if your life ends, then your ability to earn an income stops. It also stops if you lose your job. It also stops if you become disabled. It's just in those 2 latter instances, we're hoping it'll resume again. Obviously, when your life ends, that's a permanent stop to your income. What does that do to your dependents? Well, at that point, I think you have a moral obligation to at least consider, how do we handle this problem? This is the primary driver for life insurance. So we're going to figure out, how much does life insurance cost? And I've got a way that you can get a quote without having to divulge too much in the way of personal information. And it's got all kinds of interesting implications. At least I think they're interesting, and I hope you agree. I guess at the end of the course, you have a chance to weigh in on whether or not you think that's helpful. So 500 points, 400 from exams, 100 from assignments. Here's the scale. Now I'm locked into this. So now that I've published it in a syllabus, if this is the number of points you get, this is the grade you're going to get. So yeah, if you get 437 points, yep, that's a B. Yep, it's 1 point away from a B+. That's one way to look at it. But now that I've published this, I'm locked in. There's nothing I can do. I can't all of a sudden decide that 437 points is now a B+. And I wouldn't do it the other way either. So if there's a specific grade you're hoping to get, you got to lock into how many points you need, and you got to figure out how you're going to do that. And then monitor that as we go along. This is all up to you. I don't grade on percentages. The points are assigned The grades are assigned based on the points that you've earned according to this scale right here. It's forgiving on the bottom end. I mean, if you are looking at percentages, I mean, to pass, yeah, you got to get half the points. If you get half the points or exactly half or less, then you won't pass. But that's not an onerous expectation. If you complete the assignments that I ask you to do, and if you give good effort towards the exams, you don't really have to worry about that. I can't promise you it won't happen, but if you give good effort throughout the course and you end up with that kind of grade, you'll be the first. So it's not impossible, but it hasn't happened yet. And I'm hoping for the best. When we finish exams, I look at them and I say, all right, well, if this exam score is lower than I expected, then sometimes we adjust. I don't adjust downward. If it's better than we expected, that's fantastic. We'll keep that. When we do that, of course, it's got to be fair. It's got to apply to everybody equally. So we do it that way. If you've got special needs, please let me know. Every syllabus has to have a diversity statement. Here it is. So you should see this on every syllabus in every class you have. They've also asked us to include a face mask statement. This is an online class, so there won't be anything specific to this class that requires that. But you should be aware if you go on campus, there are rules. So you'll want to know what those rules are. Then we've got a schedule here as to what our topics are and when the exams will open. So the way I kind of do it is I try to post next week's material on Saturday. Even though the week doesn't really start till Monday, I'm going to try to have all that up and ready to go on Saturday so you can start. Then what I want to do is the due date for any assignments is always going to be Friday at the end of the day. So Friday at 11:59, that's the Canvas time that you call end of day, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the time zone we're going to use because that's the time zone we're in. Although I recognize that some of our students might not be. So if you're not, just pay attention to that. Deadlines are there to help keep you on pace. That's not something, I don't use deadlines as a way to punish people. But the truth is, if you don't keep up, then eventually the work piles up to a point where it can't be completed. So staying on pace is important. That's really the purpose of deadlines. So we've got our whole list of when those exams open, and then up till the final. The final is not comprehensive. The final is just our 4th unit exam, and that will be due on the last day of the final exam period. So you can do it anywhere in there as long as you get it done by the last day, by the end of the day. So that's the exception. There we're talking about when the exam is due. Here we're talking about when these exams open, and you have a week's worth of flexibility to figure out when you're going to get that done. Okay, so tips. What can I tell you? Print out the review sheet and print out the slides. This will make it a lot easier to watch what's going on here. So that's going to be in this section here. There's a section of Canvas that says Unit 1 slides and a review sheet for Exam 1. Look there. And you'll see the slides in a review sheet. Print those out. Use that to follow along as we're talking. Take notes on those pages. Remember, when we have exams, I can't stop you from using notes. You'll find that it's not real useful to just search the internet for the answer to the question that I'm asking. And that's usually pretty quick for me to tell that that's what somebody's done. If they do that, please don't do that. I want your words when it comes to exams. I'll say more about that when we get to the actual exam. But go ahead and make sure that you can answer those questions on the review sheet. And you can always rewind to rewatch the parts of the lecture where you say, I'm not sure I got that. That's okay. You have a lot of tools at your disposal to really do well in an online class that you don't have in an on-campus class. There is no rewinding in the on-campus class, right? So generally, people do better here. If you look down at week 1, I'll go ahead and go over expectations as long as I'm talking to you. There's 4 lectures to watch. They're all about 20 minutes. And then there's a very short assignment to complete. And that's just a kind of a get-to-know-you kind of thing with a couple just questions on opinions about online classes in general. And I'm doing that so in case somebody throws an idea that's really good, I can still incorporate that. I've got plenty of time to do that. So just think, as you're asking those questions on that first assignment, prove to me that you've considered it and thought about it. It's not something that's going to take you a long time. It's not going to take you an hour to do. But I don't want you to rush through it in 2 minutes either. Just give it an honest effort. That's all I'm asking you to do. And I will read them and I will consider them. So I ask for your best efforts there, and then you'll get mine too. Okay, I think for a welcome, that's probably good enough. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. If you need to contact me anytime, next thing I'd ask you to do, make sure you can view these lectures. Do that right now. Even if you can't watch them all the way through, see if you can view this right now, because if there's a tech problem, we need to discover that right now so we can fix it. So just go ahead and click through those and make sure that you can watch each of them. That would be the safest thing to do. That's good risk management. See, we're already learning stuff. Okay, hope to hear from you if you have any problems, and I'm happy to help get you through this. I want to see all of us get through this successfully. This is something I love to teach. I think it's exciting. And again, I'm aware that my bar is pretty low. Most people going in don't think it's going to be terribly exciting. That's awesome for me, right? So we'll go ahead and shut this video down here. And if you have any questions, please give me an email and we'll go from there. Thanks a lot.